Land once lush and productive is drying up. In the delta of Italy's once mighty River Po, drought has struck.
70% andato.
70% of the crop is gone, Frederica Vitali tells me. If it doesn't rain, you can see the plants are burning up.
Abbiamo bisogno di una pioggia.
But this year the rains didn't come. It's Italy's worst drought in 70 years. Her soya crop is all but gone. The drought has impacted a third of Italy's agriculture. It didn't rain much during the winter or the spring. Plus, Italy is going through an unprecedented heat wave. Those combined to create the perfect storm for Italian agriculture. 5 major food-producing Italian regions have declared a drought emergency. 3 generations of Antonio Bezzi's family have cultivated rice.
Non abbiamo mai visto una situazione siccitosa di queste dimensioni.
We've never seen a drought like this, he says.
Delle siccità nel 2003.
Climate change here isn't a myth, it's reality. In the last 10 years, Antonio says, the area planted with rice has gone down almost 50% as a result of drought. Close to the sea, there is water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. In normal times, this is where the salt water reached in this river, about 3 miles from the Adriatic. But now, because of the drought, because of the low level of fresh water in the River Po, the salt water reaches about 18 miles inland, and that is having a disastrous effect on crops.
È uno strumento che misura la salinità dell'acqua.
Rodolfo Laurenti works for the local water authority, which closely monitors the flow and salinity of water in the Po Delta.
Quando è stato il momento proprio di crisi acclamata è il 2022.
The moment of real climate crisis, he says, is 2022.
Sì.
To ensure adequate drinking water, one local authority has resorted to renting expensive mobile desalination plants. Climate change means we have to be ready for emergencies like this, says Director Monica Monte. Elsewhere, the little fresh river water still available is used to save at least a portion of the rice crop.
This type of drought.
But climate scientist Ramona Magno warns it's too little and
it's too late. What we can do now is try to reduce losses.
And as this drought goes on, the losses will only mount. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, in the Po River Delta, Italy.
Parts of the U.S. are also dealing with a dangerous heat wave. More than 40 million people are under heat advisories. Temperatures are surging from 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Now, this comes as firefighters are faced with 89 large fires across 12 states.
In Texas, temperatures have reached 113 degrees Fahrenheit. The state faces severe drought and power shortages. Residents are asked to conserve water and electricity. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Chris Van Cleve, who is in Fort Worth, Texas, for us. So, Chris, tell us more broadly here, which parts of the country overall are getting hit the hardest at this moment?
Well, it's a pretty wide swath of the south and southwest. Basically, a heat dome has parked itself firmly over the state of Texas. We expect to see temperatures here in Fort Worth 110, 111 today when we hit our peak heat in a few hours. Right now flirting with about 100 degrees here, just a little under so far. But it has been day after day after day after day of sustained high heat. The Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, which is sort of halfway between here and Dallas, that's where the official National Weather Service monitoring site is. They've seen today will be the 24th day where you've seen 100 degrees or hotter. I remember that we're really very early into the summer season here. you're seeing sustained heat for weather you would typically see in August. People say you started to see in June, even late May. So it has been, not only is it that you've got this heat dome parked that's heating up a good swath of the South and Southwest, it's that it's just unrelenting.
And Chris, in February 2021, we saw Texas's power grid fail during winter storms. So are officials worried the heat could cause a similar strain? Because, I mean, one worries about all the sort of elderly people there and how they would, frankly, survive through a heat wave like this without some air conditioning.
Yeah, the fragility, if that's a word, the fragile nature of the Texas power grid is something that weighs on a lot of residents. The official word has been that the lights will stay on, the air conditioning will stay on, and so far that's been the case. ERCOT, which runs the state's power grid, has been urging people to conserve electricity, urging businesses to conserve electricity, particularly during the peak hours, and they've set a host of unofficial usage records over the last 8 to 10 weeks or so as the temperature's been real hot. But so far, that power grid has done its job. The lights have stayed on. The air conditioning has continued to flow. There have not been rolling blackouts or large-scale power failures so far. But it's July. It's the middle of the summer. We're not near the end of the summer, and this could continue for weeks to come. We talked with the Weather Service yesterday, and the system, basically the weather system here is just kind of stuck in this heat dome. So it's becoming just a kind of a vicious cycle of the high temperatures drives drought conditions, which drives hot conditions, which drives the drought, and it just, you're sort of stuck. What may be required is some sort of tropical system to come through, and of course that brings with it then the risk of a tropical storm or a hurricane, but that's the kind of system that would hit the reset button, so to speak, to get Texas a break from this heat dome. But otherwise it could be a long summer, and that's going to be a big prolonged test of the power grid here.
Absolutely. Chris Van Cleve, try to keep cool. Thank you so much for that.
Sure thing.
Let's go straight to you. Has the judge made a decision?
Yes, there won't be any delay in the trial, so we are past this speed bump, and we'll probably get along with jury selection here shortly. The issue has been this letter that Benny Thompson sent to a lawyer for Steve Bannon on October 8th, in which Bannon talks about, Thompson talks about Bannon's claims that he can't respond to the subpoena because of executive privilege that Trump has asserted, and Bannon talks about that. What the lawyers for Bannon said today is, well, the government should not be able to introduce this letter because it's hearsay. If we can't call Benny Thompson to testify, then this letter shouldn't be allowed. And the judge initially said, well, maybe it can be allowed if Bannon would simply proffer or make a written statement about his reliance on privilege, which the defense said, well, wait a minute. You said a while ago that we can't get into that issue at all here. So we want a continuance. We want a 1-month delay. So the judge called a recess, came back and said, OK, never mind, no proffer. Just if this letter is going to be introduced, you have to take out all the references, the 3 or 4 paragraphs in here of Benny Thompson's description of Bannon's assertion of privilege. So we're pretty well past that. And I think we're going to get along to jury selection here shortly, and then to opening statements by the government. And the government has said it only intends to call 2 or maybe 3 witnesses. So the government's case should be presented pretty quickly.
Let's get to Allie on the Hill if we can. First, Allie, NBC News receiving this statement from the Secret Service where they say they have now turned over, quote, thousands of pages of documents, Secret Service phone, cell phone use and other policies, as well as operational and planning records. Notably, no mention of those text messages from the 5th and the 6th of January, right as everything was going down on Capitol Hill. What does that mean, and where does it go from here?
Yeah, that lack of specificity caught many of our attention up here because, of course, those are the text messages at issue that the committee really wants to be able to get its hands on. The Secret Service still saying, as you mentioned, that they've turned over documents, but as far as I can tell, the committee, at least at this point, is not confirming either receipt of those or that there is a gap from the 5th and the 6th in the data that the Secret Service has sent over to them. I will say in my conversations with lawmakers yesterday, including the chairman of the committee, Benny Thompson, they seemed confident or hopeful that they were going to get these text messages recovered or resurrected. Now, though, it seems like from some other reporting that's out there, that may not in fact be the case. And you also now have the National Archives, which would be the place that actually gets a lot of this data from the Secret Service, these correspondences, according to federal records laws. Now the National Archives is saying in part that they are requesting the Secret Service look into this matter, going further in a letter that says, if it's determined that any text messages have been improperly deleted, then the Secret Service must send NARA a report within 30 calendar days of the date of this letter and with a report documenting the deletion. We already know the Secret Service's initial explanation for why these documents are not in this initial tranche, and they say it's because they were basically turning over their systems.
We now have President Biden in office for 18 months, and just recently, we now see the mainstream media questioning President Biden's mental state, and for good reason. Sadly, he shakes hands with ghosts and imaginary people. He falls off bicycles. Even at the White House Easter celebration, the Easter Bunny had to guide him back into his safe place. Cue cards that say, "sit here," or "end of speech," which he actually states, that is, if he stays awake. So my question for you is, sir, have you spoken with any other cabinet members about implementing the 25th Amendment on President Biden?
First of all, I'm glad to have a president who can ride a bicycle. And
That's the
I
question.
will look beyond the insulting nature of that question and make clear to you that the President of the United States...
Have you spoken to any other
not.
cabinet members about implementing the 25th Amendment on President Biden?
Of course not.
Please allow the
You ought to
witness
know
to answer.
Have you
that the
emailed,
President of
this
the
is my
United
time,
States-
have you emailed any members
President of
with
the
the
United
executive
States.
branch about the president's health or
President
cognitive
of the
decline,
United States
including
is
text
as
messages
vigorous a
from your
colleague
private
or
phone?
boss as I have
I
ever had the
figured this.
pleasure of working with.
What about political appointees at USDOT? Have you spoken about
Gentleman's
this issue
time
with
has
them?
expired.
I couldn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
Well,
You yield me 1 minute, sir?
absolutely not. If you had yielded the secretary some time to actually answer the ridiculous question, you might have actually gotten something.